Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Welcome. Okay. So my name's Kevin Wiley. I'm actually an OC alum. I know I look a lot older than some of the younger people in here. And I'm currently the Olympic College Foundation Vice President of Development on the board. So I'm pretty fortunate to be there. Grew up in Shelton, live up this way now, and I'm still connected to OC this many years later. It was, 20 some years ago that I was in class at OC. I heard I get extra credit tonight from Audrey though, so I'm okay with that. With a quick show of hands, how many of you are Olympic College alum? I got mine out. Has anybody ever just took one class here? Yeah? So you're an alum just with one class, believe it or not. It's great to see you guys all here. And thank you all for coming out tonight. Supporting Olympic College, being here, it's amazing to see everybody's faces come out. To me, Olympic College means a lot, and it's got me through my college, so it's very valuable. So tonight, this evening, this is our 6th event of 2019 for our Alumni Speaker Series. This series strives to offer engaging and educational topics that are relevant in today's world. Special thanks to Bremerton-Kitsap Access Television, BKAT, our media sponsor, and they're actually recording this event. They're recording it, and it's kind of scary. And thank you, anyone returning to Olympic College for this event, if you've come to previous events, and welcome all of you that are new guests. How many new guests tonight? I'm doing one nice, we got quite a few. Thank you. So you'll see on the end of the aisles coming through, there will be a sign-in sheet. They'll be passed through the audience. We ask that you sign in, and if you like, you can check on there that you'll receive our e-newsletter. It's called The Lookout, and that will inform you of upcoming events, anything that we have happening. A little housekeeping, if you haven't been in the building, if you go out these doors and head over to the right, that's where the restrooms are located. That's important for events, and you can sneak away anytime. So this evening's presentation is Thanksgiving in the Northwest, presented by Chef Plemmons of the OC Culinary Arts Program, and a few of the current students enrolled in the program. I know many of you saw some food out there and you were after it already. We're going to make you wait. So OC's resident Chef Plemmons will be serving up some new twists on old favorites as he demonstrates how to prepare them. A feast that showcases fresh ingredients and pays homage to the region's Native Americans, Scandinavians, and Korean influences. That one caught me by attention, so I was very curious. Chef Plemmons is certified executive chef, OC Culinary Arts professor, a graduate of the Western Culinary Institute. He has operated his own restaurant, Poulsbo's Inn at the Manor Farm, and spent 9 years as executive chef at the Women's University Club in Seattle. He is also the co-founder of spice company, Two Snooty Chefs. I thought that was humorous myself, so. Now at the end of the presentation, I know I make you wait, huh? We welcome you to linger in the lobby, and we'll have tasty bites of the dishes that Chef's going to prepare tonight. And you'll be able to pick up some recipes on the back table on your way out as well, if you haven't picked them up already. So you're encouraged to ask questions during the presentation, and Chef Plemmons will also be available afterwards in the lobby. So he'll be out there to explain more if you have more questions. Now, please welcome Chef Plemmons.
Good evening. We're here to talk about Thanksgiving, but really, we're not really going to talk about Thanksgiving. I'm going to take you where I want you to go. And we're going to do things that some of you have probably never, most of you have probably never done. How many of you have had pine water, cedar water? Oh, Jody. We're in the Northwest. It's the land, it's the evergreen state. So what we did is we made as much evergreen food as we could. But from the eyes of the Native American, the Scandinavian American, and the Korean. And I think it'll be kind of fun. You're going to see salmon done 3 ways. You're going to see turkey done 3 ways. And then we got a few side dishes and things as well. And everything is for sampling afterwards. So you get a chance to see exactly what it is. And my helpful students back there are going to be more than willing to serve you and are graciously waiting to welcome you out there. Okay, so next slide. So as we're thinking about Thanksgiving, this is somewhat of a facsimile of what people assume is going to be Thanksgiving. You got turkey, you got stuffing if you put it in the bird, you got dressing if you leave it on the side, you got yams, mashed potatoes, and the green onions with those dried onions, green beans with the dried onions that a lot of people bank on, and yes, people are cringing. So with that being said, most people, and I've talked to a lot of people about what do they do at Thanksgiving. And I've had Native Americans say they really do something different. They do, I mean, fry bread is not traditional, but it's done a lot. I thought about maybe I could do a fry bread dressing and put dried fruits in it. And I thought, well, really fry bread's not traditionally, and it's been around for the last few years, but it's not tradition. So, you know, when we're thinking about it with the natural, or the Native American was here in place, living, eating, dealing with wildlife, dealing with fishing, hunting, gathering, and they had a set diet. And then along comes Europeans, people from other parts of the world, and they brought with them different livestock, different plants, different foods, and along with that, they also brought different types of disease. The Native American suffered great loss from disease, mumps, measles, things that they had no defense against. They also brought cows, pigs. The Native Americans were not used to eating those animals. And then you put on top of that, they started refining things and adding sugar and adding things like wheat and gluten and so on and so forth. And these Native Americans were not chemically made to do that. And as a result, there were great losses. But what they did do was salmon. And they did different forms of hunting and gathering, as I said. And so, from the Native American standpoint of view, salmon was done over the fire with sticks and or planks, and it was cooked by the heat of the fire and was also smoked from the fire as well. Now, with that being said, we took the salmon and we brined it in cedar water. I literally took cedar boughs. I had various people around campus gather cedar boughs from their homes, and I took a meat hammer to them and I beat the living crud out of them to get the sap to come out, to get the flavor in the water, and then I turned the water into a brine. And a brine is a mixture of water, sugar, and salt. I brined the salmon for a day and a half, and then we smoked it. on the plank. So it's got double wood on the salmon. Okay? Now, thinking about that, when you have as much wood as we have on this, you're going to get it throughout. And a lot of times people, nowadays, in the last 20 years, cooking on cedar planks has kind of been a hip thing going on. But the Native Americans have had this going on for centuries. It was back in the day when they had fish so much in the water and in the rivers and in the Sound that they said that there were so many fish back then that you could walk across the water on the backs of the salmon because there were so many. And nowadays, that doesn't happen nowadays. Okay? So since it worked well on the salmon, we decided that we would then in turn do the same with the turkey breast. We did it and then we cut it up, unfortunately, but you all know what a turkey breast looks like. Okay, hopefully. And so, with that being said, this is our rendition. In addition to this, we have a few other samplers out there on the table to go along with these. But this is from the Native American standpoint of view, kind of one view of how they might have done Thanksgiving and the meats they would have done had they been given the opportunity to do so. Okay. All right, I'm going to take this one back. The Scandinavians, you think about Scandinavia, far away, they come to the Northwest, and the biggest question would be, why? Why would you come from there to here? And the answer was that it reminded them of their homeland. Their homeland, their skill sets, their industries were exactly the same as what we have here in the Northwest. Logging, farming, timber industry, all of that was what was done in Sweden and parts of Scandinavia, and it was very transferable. And the more that people came, the more they wrote. They would send letters back home and say, come join us. There's all this land, all this ability to do, and it's like being at home. You think about the influence of Scandinavia in the Northwest. You think of the Nordstroms. You think of the people, like Larson's. You think of people that are in industry as well. Other parts of education and business in general was very conducive to their way of life. So with that being determined, what we decided we would do is play around a bit. Now, in Scandinavia, the use of grovlocks or groveled salmon, meaning that they bury it in salt and let it pull the moisture out of the fish so that it stiffens a bit, and it extends the life. Anything that you can pull the liquid out of, you can extend the life of that piece of food. That's why people dehydrate food, because it allows it to live longer. Okay? So what we did is we did a kind of a takeoff on this. And what we have here is a Douglas fir cured grovlox. Okay? People are going, what? Say what? And so what it ends up being is that normally in parts of Scandinavia, they would use salt, they use a little bit of sugar, henceforth going along the lines of the rub, which is another type of a cure, and then they would add mountains and mountains of dill. And I thought, well, if dill works well, why would Douglas fir not? So once again, I got my handy meat mallet, and I beat the crud out of the Douglas fir, and then pulled the needles off and packed the salmon with the salt, the sugar, and the Douglas fir needles, and let it set for 3 to 4 days. And then we sliced it nice and thin, and we're going to put it with some mustard and a little bit of, well, actually, we got the hardtack in this up, but that's another dish for another day. We're going to actually take the salmon once we unmask it. There actually is salmon in here, okay? And with the salmon, we did actually make a dill mustard sauce, and we have hardtack or rye crisp is what you would say. That out there you'll see big wheels of rye crisp, and it has a hole in the middle. And the vendors in parts of Scandinavia would walk down the streets with these flatbreads on a stick over their shoulder and would sell them door to door. And so we broke them up so that everybody would get a little bit of a sample, and that's where the salmon is going to come from, and where you're going to try with that. Then the other part that we have is dandelions, and actually dandelions were actually brought to the United States, as well as blackberries and other types, and Scotch broom by the Scandinavians and the Norwegians and what have you, which we always thought was always here, which it really wasn't. And so we are going to do a salad with a walnut vinaigrette. We're going to toss this. And then we're going to put it in a cup. We're going to give you a little bit of the lingonberry brined turkey breast. So it's going to have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you'll get samples out there on what that is. Okay, and so put this here. I'm trying to think of what I'm missing here. Walnut, dandelion, lingonberry. Yep, that's it. Okay, so when we're thinking about Scandinavian cooking and holiday festivals, a lot of it deals with the end of the year, the harvest, the bringing in of things, and as a result, then people come together and they gather to share family, friends, community, and it was nothing different than in these other areas as well. So with the last one being the Korean, Chuseok. Chuseok is the harvest in Korea that is to honor those that have passed on ahead of us. Okay? To pay homage and to give respect. And their whole culture in Korea is about respect for elders. Nobody sits down at the table until the elders sit. Nobody gets to eat or lift a fork until the elder does. Nobody finishes until the elder finishes. They said if you must, you put yourself in last place and make sure that you lose the race about who eats the fastest. But the elders always finish first, and nobody finishes until the elder does. And their whole culture is embedded with the respect and the treatment of the elder population. as well as you don't go out the house until the elder goes out the house. And it's something that we don't see as much here as in other parts of the world. And teaching international cuisine as I do, different nationalities have set rules that are adhered to immensely by the population. And that is something to be honored and cherished. So what we did was from the from the Korean and the means of banchan, the little pickled, cured vegetables, we made a sampling of various forms of banchan. Now, we also have kimchi 3 or 4 different ways, but really in truth, kimchi, which is cured vegetables, primarily cabbage, and it's very hot, spicy, and we have that 4 or 5 ways as well. There's a kale, there is a garlic chive, there is dandelion, and then there's a green onion. And, you know, people think when you say kimchi, must be cabbage. But really, in truth, the means of kimchi is predominantly fermented vegetables, and it could be a whole array of different ones. So this kind of will show you as such. Now, with the, in this case, with the turkey that we have, we did it in a chili-based brine, and we're serving it with a barbecue sauce that's made from Korean ingredients, and it's sappy, syrupy, and it'll offset the flavor. It'll match up really well with what the turkey is. Okay, so there's that. Now, gochujang, fermented red chili paste. Yes, it's hot. Pretty much everything on this platter is hot. And so what we did was, for those that are willing to challenge their palate, is that we did a gochujang brine on the salmon, and then we coated it with the gochujang, a little bit of shredded seaweed, some white and black sesame seeds, and then we finished it in the oven. And so we have this as well. So yeah, on the 15th day of the 8th month is the date of the celebration, and as you can see, lots of fruit and fish and vegetables, and you'll notice when you get out there, you see the citrus fruit, and the tops and the bottoms have been cut off, as we have out here as well. And that was done on purpose because they feel that if you don't open the fruit up, it won't allow the spirits to leave the fruit. And as a result, they feel that the spirits get trapped inside of the fruit, and so that's when you present it on a presentation. You're supposed to cut the top and the bottom to expose them so they can leave and join the festivities. There's a lot of countries in the world where, for example, taking photographs, they feel is when you take a picture of them, you take their soul, and it's now locked in the camera, and it's not something that is, so a lot of times we went to Oaxaca in Mexico and went to take pictures, and people automatically turned around. And so you get to a point where you obviously have to ask permission before you do such a thing. And So, anyhow, and I went through that awful fast, I know. Yeah. So, yep. So, yes.
So, kimchi, first of all, I love it. But, how did you make it and how long did it take?
It's kind of interesting. One of the kimchis that I have, I got from, we belong to the pea patch up here at Blueberry Park, and there's a Korean lady that knew what I do for a living, and she says, I made this just for you. And so I saved it and put it out, but I have some that has been fermenting for upwards of more than a year and a half. Yeah. And then I have some that I made this summer, and so yeah, that's the two different ranges. So yeah, you get a chance. It didn't lose anything, I promise. Yes?
About the smoking the salmon, I've done it before. I have a Traeger kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But I always have a hard time figuring out when is it fine and when it's too much. Usually, the times I've done it, it's usually too much. How do you decide when it's done? Is it a temperature thing or?
Well, when you're talking about temperature, the key to smoking anything is 85 degrees. Anything under 85 degrees is considered cold smoking. Anything over 85 is considered hot smoking and partial cooking. And that's one of the things that we try to take. If we're going to cold smoke something, we're going to finish it in the oven just to make sure it's up over 145, 130, 135, 40-ish in that area. And then when you're doing hot smoking, then obviously when it flakes at its natural divides. And it's, we figure we run it about 2 hours, and then we finish it in the oven just to be safe that we don't overcook it, because nothing's worse than sawdust. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Sure.
You can't run off on me yet. We have a little thank you here for you. So
Oh, well, gee, thanks.
Thank you so much. And if everybody could join me and give a round of applause for Chef Plemmons. And again, after this, you can corner him out there and ask him anything you want, so he volunteered. A big thank you. BKAT has graciously recorded this, and if you enjoyed it, the presentation, you can access it. There's a handout in the back there as you exit, and it shows the viewing times. We'll also have a link on the Olympic College Foundation page. If you really enjoyed it, share it with your friends, please. And again, a huge thank you to BKAT for recording this and being a media sponsor. Thank you again for attending. Remember, please join us in the lobby for some tasty samples. And now, you can go get your snacks.
Okay. Seriously, make sure you try everything. I mean, it's free, and some of it I guarantee you've never tried before. So, thank you for coming.